I'm really not sure what it is that I think people expect of me. I have an idea, because there's things that I get hung up on. Um, but I imagine people by now expect me to do things that they don't think makes a lot of sense. Um, Now maybe is one of them. I haven't told anybody, and there's many layers to that. Um, but I'm going on a little trip uh, with someone I'm very excited to spend some time with, and who I get to see again after a while away. His name is Sam. I fell in love again at Shambhala. Magical place, as we all know. And spent most of the weekend with this man. And have been planning to see him again ever since. And the plan originally was going to be no less shocking or jarring, but it was going to be, I was going to meet him in Salt Lake City, which is where he lives. Though logistically, the way that the world is with my life choices, it just became a bit of a nightmare. As far as it would put me, primarily the problem was that it would put Mike in a quarantine situation, just to have driven me across the border for a couple of hours. So that didn't work. And so now he is driving up here and is probably just, I haven't heard from him in a little while, but I imagine he's getting close. And we're going to spend the night at the campsite, and then we are headed off on a little bit of a road trip. We're going to go from here and go up through Invermere, do some backpacking. He's an avid backpacker, so I'm going to be a little bit out of my element, but going to be...
Hi there.
Hello!
Sorry for coming through your camp.
Oh, no worries. It's a nice place to walk.
Oh, I know. She loves it down going swimming at the creek.
Yeah, it's a perfect spot. Enjoy your walk.
Thank you.
Anyways, so yeah, I'm very excited, a little bit nervous. Obviously, there's many, I don't know, lots tied up in that. Kind of quite uncharacteristic for me, as far as just going on a limb and going adventuring with somebody I still hardly know. We've spoke many times on the phone since, and yeah, spent a bunch of the weekend of Shambhala together, which was just wonderful. He's met Mike. He's got the Mike approval, and it's just a very sweet guy. He's a videographer. He was working for the team that does the after movie for Shambhala, so it was cool. He was working there, as well as that's how I met him, through the crew. We had crew breakfast together. And yeah, it's a bit of a hard thing for me to approach with anybody I might send this video to, because I have a hard time even just telling these things or saying this stuff without being conscious of how anyone might perceive that, or the judgments that they might have, and the fears and the thoughts and the feelings and the unconventional, all of that. And I just didn't say anything. And it doesn't feel so good that I didn't say anything, because that's just kind of how I've lived a lot of my life. A lot of the things that have happened to me, or that have been a large parts of my life in some capacity, hasn't been shared with a lot of people that I hold very near and dear to my heart. We're very close, family, say. And I I I really want to let that piece of me go. I want to let the piece that hides different pieces from different people, I want to let that go. I know to some extent we all do this, but I also feel that it is one of the things that causes us a lot of trouble. Feeling like you have to put a face on for any particular person, or shield them from your truth or from what's going on in your life, because they maybe can't handle it, or don't want to handle it, or you don't know how they would respond, so it's better to just not say anything, is kind of how the message I have always got, which I've always, or for a long time, abided by, to some extent. I can't, all of the ways I think people think about me is my own perception. So I don't even know, because I haven't had these conversations really. Any of the conversations that I have had with family in this regard, kind of as far as our non-monogamous relationship, has basically has come with support in its own way, support and love, and also a warning. I was warned not to talk about these kind of things at all, uh, with the particular sets of people, um, because of a fear of how they would handle it, or it might make them uncomfortable. And I understand that, and I understood that for a long time. But over the last however many years, I've been unraveling a lot of this stuff, and kind of coming into what I feel like my true expression might be. Um, it's it's come with a lot of mental health struggles. It's come with a lot of downs. It's come with a lot of crippling fear to just be and to exist. And good chance a lot of that is created in my own brain. I know that that is very true. But also, yeah, it just the inhibiting what I express, or sheltering others from, yeah, what I'm up to, or any of that, ultimately it hurts me. And I think that that is a very general, that it happens very across the board for a lot of people, that restricting, or trying to small myself or ourselves or whomever it is, trying to small yourself down so that you don't offend anybody, or that you don't ruffle any tail feathers, or yeah, any of those things that you might restrict your own expression for any of those reasons, ultimately it comes down to a constricted self. It comes down to like a tightening and a winding up of our own personal expression and our freedom, which can cause a lot of trouble. It can cause like physiological trouble, like the tightening and the smalling and the restricting and the all of that. Like even if that's happening on an energetic level, it's reflected in our physiology. So when we have really tightly wound, stressed individuals who are really restricting their full truth, they have their things come up in their everyday life that they want to say or make them really mad, but anger, like expression of anger, isn't actually like really accepted or doesn't like bode well with the people in your life, so that you just hold that in, like the what that's doing to us in our bodies is terribly detrimental. And I've seen it. I see it in my own life. I see it with continuous still digestive struggles, um, which just is like a representation of like me not allowing the energy and the thoughts and the feelings and the ideas and like my true self to move through my body. So it shows up in my body in that process. That's just like it's not a healthy movement of energy, which is just like one thing that for me is very present and has been for years of this unraveling kind of my self journey, the like gut issues that I have had for a long time. Um, and just like, yeah, I mean, ulcers, like stomach ulcers, things like that, like just like like it's a representation of this tight, stuck energy. And anyways, I um I've been going through a lot of changes over a few years now, but just really kind of coming into them in this last while. I don't know, putting in any time period on it doesn't even seem like really make sense either. But I I'm starting to realize, like, and I have realized time and time again that really that me stopping myself from saying any of this stuff or just like being me doesn't actually do anybody any good. And even the people that like I genuinely love with my whole heart and respect a lot and deeply care for, that I'm in some way trying to protect, um it doesn't help them ultimately, because really what it boils down to is a lack of honesty. It's a overabundance of dishonesty. Um, and for a long time, that's just kind of been my baseline. Really, if I peel back the layers of what is happening for me all of the most of the time, or like it has been, um, is this just like deep thread of dishonesty, like not full truths, half truths, like manipulated truths, telling, yeah, basically only sharing the parts that I perceive would that other whoever it is would want to hear. Um, and it's really crippling. It's really creates a lot of struggle in order to have healthy relationships, because there's just this foundational piece that, um, for me is like I can't even, I have found I struggle a lot with even being honest with myself, like what I really want and what I like crave in my life, um, which is still to be determined. But like for years, um, being in complete denial and like honest, full, nope, I don't feel those way. Like, I don't feel that. Like, complete denial of an entire set of feelings, an entire full spectrum of love I had for this particular person who's been in my life for ages, who we were just friends. And I, there was a lot of, I struggled a lot in previous relationships with my relationship with this person due to a, um, like a past relationships had felt like there was something there. And I always struggled with it so much because I always just said we were just friends. And it wasn't till 4 years into living in the Okanagan and completely peeling back the layers of who I thought I was before it hit me like a complete ton of bricks that I have been completely in love with this person for 15 years. I still am. He's a huge part of my life, and I've put him through the ringer uh, too many times to count. He's not the only one in that type of situation. I have been ridiculously blessed and completely honored with the amount of individuals that have been in my life or that have come into my life that have fucking loved me, deeply loved me, and that I have completely heartbroken. I have some serious reconciliation to do with a number of humans in in my in the world, whatever is what was going to come out of my face, but in that I know and that I have had contact or like I've interacted with over the years, and that I have had time periods where I spent crazy amounts of time with them in romantic, uh, sexual and otherwise relationships, but also just like platonic friendships. I've had there's so many people that have just like full on been a massive part of my life for a period of time, and I am sure like they were very important to me, and I know that I was extremely important to them. And due to a lot of a lot of a number of different things, but that thread of dishonesty and like fear of being my honest self, I I've been in countless situations where I've just disappeared. I just ghost. I go away, remove myself from the situation, because otherwise I would have to face something that I didn't think I could hold, or that I didn't think that people could hold. I didn't think that, like, it didn't feel safe to love as much as I do. It didn't feel safe to be as happy as I can be. I've put myself, like, it's funny to look at because there's so many time periods where there's been so much good going on in my life where literally my my biggest struggle is how much a like abundant possibility there is for me, which is a ridiculously privileged thing to be able to say, which is like, and anyways, so like I have been so many times I've been in this situation where there's just so much that could be going on, so much good, so much excitement, so much love, so much all of this, and I crumble myself because I'm too afraid to just exist in it and to show up as that, because I know what comes on the other side of well, I know the judgments that can come from the other side of the perception of somebody who's really fucking happy and who is living a life that is completely um like disregards regular society, or is just bigger, like in some form, like in no means better. I'm not saying it's any one way is better or worse, just different, and um take like essentially just the fear of taking up space. Um so like yeah, periods of time where I've just like there's been so much that's good and I just crush myself instead of leaning into what the possibilities of are for me. And that's the same as when I got my like complete world torn apart with the realization of how truly fucking privileged I am. Like, truly, deeply, fundamentally privileged to even be sitting where I am sitting at our little at a little campsite in the middle of British Columbia, the middle of the East Kootenays, British Columbia, Canada, completely safe. Like, just that alone, that this is where I was born into, is just like a ridiculous amount of privilege. And when I really started to like feel that, I'm a very empathetic creature. Like I can feel things. I can feel energies and emotions and slight switches in, and like, and I'm not I'm I I just, once I started to realize and feel into how privileged I really am, just for being born where I am to begin with, and then for the life that I was given, for the family that I have, for the love that I've always been surrounded by, for the for the for the just like innumerable like people that give a shit about me. It's insane. And that feels so sticky in some areas of my like traumas and upbringings, like to speak about how much how loved I am is one of those like to like don't be boastful and don't make people feel bad kind of thing, and that's just like the last thing that I would ever want and not my intention. However, it is valuable to see and recognize, even for myself, even into this moment, that like being able to see that and feel it and hold it is one thing, but completely restricting myself and not being honest with the people that I love the most about things that are my life. Like, I am in a like consensually non-monogamous relationship. I'm still working out what that even fucking looks like. But we, like, in some people know some pieces of that. Some people know, have heard things or think that they know things or have been a part of it in some capacity. And some people know nothing. Some people know just that, just that is a thing. They have no idea what that means. And like that doesn't sit right either. Like, it's not that I have to talk about anything that is going on in my world for anybody else or for any reason other than it is for me, and it feels true to me to speak about the different things too, because we grow up only believing that there is this one way, this one, you go to school, you don't talk back to your teachers, you respect the adults, you listen to what they have to say, you learn from them, you go to more school, you get a job, you have a family, you raise the family, you then maybe have a retirement that fills the cup of the person who's been pouring it out their whole life for other people, for other people's dreams, for other people's ideas, for other people's well-beings. And we do it like we do it because we want to, because we feel like we want to, because there is this way and there is this thing that we're supposed to be doing, and we follow the steps and we do the things and we go. And also for some people that feels absolutely fucking soul crushing, like completely soul crushing, but we do it anyways. We stay with the one person. We are in a marriage or a marriage like situation, and we feel these pulls in other directions, and then we shame ourselves and feel guilty and don't act on anything, but also don't communicate about it, and it just builds this like ick again, back to the holding stuff in, and it creates this like stress. In all of those things are stressful. Not expressing ourselves, in every little micro time we don't express ourselves, whether that's like someone saying something that you know is completely wrong and like has some charge to it that like they like it would bring value for them to be corrected, or it would be, or any time that we're like our truth is diminished by what somebody else says or does or acts, all of those times that those things happen and we small ourselves down or don't say the thing, that is a trauma. It is a micro trauma. It's not a capital T, like war veteran traumas. And those are a completely ridiculous whole other side of the spectrum that like is another rant for one day. The lack of support and yeah, I'm not even, I've ranted about this before and not gone anywhere with it, so I'm just gonna keep it with me. Um, but yeah, those are all things that create traumas, which is just stuck energy, which is just a shit show in our bodies. It's an absolute mess. Um, and so I, right now, I'm on a mission that I have honestly not committed to fully because it's scary, but a mission to find my healthy baseline, to heal the trauma of all of the times that I have shut myself down, to all of the times that I have not been prepared for a situation and not had the reason or like had the ability or the strength or the gumption or whatever it is to say no or to navigate away from that situation in a healthy way. All of those times have really built up some interesting stuff within me. Um, Stuff that honestly only so intimately, there's only really one person who gets, who knows so much. And God, does he need a support system? Like we need to, this, yeah. This is where the rambling starts. So I'm about to stop. But all of this really to say that I don't want to hide myself anymore. I don't want to feel small. And I know really there's nobody that's really asking that of me. I have, maybe at some point I got the impression that I was asked that I needed to do that for somebody, and maybe even it has come really with um like people have said these things. However, it's my choice every day. It is my choice every moment. It's my choice every time. As much as there's so much tied up into it for me, it's still my choice, as it is all of our choices to be fearless in our own life and to devote ourselves to what we feel is true. And I don't know what that's going to look like yet. And honestly, it's been one of the things that's held me back so much, is because I'm pretty scared to find out. Because I am a wild card. And some people know that more than others. Some people will hear that and think, nah, she's kind of, I don't know, she's kind of lame. She doesn't give off the best vibe a lot of the time. And maybe that's just my perception, and maybe those people are haters, and I don't know. That doesn't matter at all. I feel like my energy that I've given off for years has been confusing. And that's just because it hasn't been overly honest, like fully honest. You get bits and pieces now and again. And I don't know what that looks like, but it's about to change. I'm about to go off into the wilderness with someone I ultimately really barely know, but that I feel so strongly about, and so strongly about the opportunity to get to know. And I'm going to hike further than I've ever hiked, especially in a row. And I'm really excited. And I want to share things with so many of you. I don't know what I'll do with this. I might just send it to a couple family members. I might just go ahead and post it. Whatever it is, if anybody who to whomever has made it through almost 33 minutes of me yammering, I love you. Like, I deeply fucking love you. And just let's do the scary thing. Say the thing that scares you to the people that you love. Even if that's just you telling them that you're really excited about this new thing. It doesn't have to look any one way. And what you're really terrified of, somebody might not understand, and that's okay. It's your journey. It's my journey. And I'm here for it. I love you. And I'm starting to love me. And I hope that resonates with you.